Well, it is a new year. SAA also promising some new ideas, but make no mistake, the old problems won't simply disappear in the clouds, as we know now with those flights being cancelled. Let's get some perspective. Michael Marilia checking out the angle for us, Michael. So the airline's saying, Michael, it's going to be cutting costs. It's also managed to secure some more funding, as we heard earlier this week. It would seem, though, there might be a bit of a silver lining, or is there?
Yeah, it might seem like there's a silver lining, but as you said, Yuveka, a new year and certainly old problems still in place. It's a serious story, but I made you a paper plane, so I'm going to fly it over to you and see how far I get. Not too far.
Bad show.
Let's focus on...
Michael, may we just ask, are you trying to illustrate a metaphor for us in some way?
What are you trying to say?
Because that was the worst paper aeroplane I've ever seen in my life.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of this business rescue involving South African Airways. But let's focus very quickly on the numbers, Jeremy and Yuveka. 3.5 billion rand coming in from the Development Bank of South Africa. Might sound like a lot of money, but believe it or not, this will just allow it to really stay afloat over the next month or two while the business rescue team actually gets a plan together and presents that plan to its creditors. Now let's focus on the 2016-2017 financial statements. The reason we're looking at that, believe it or not, that was the last time SAA released reliable financial statements. 3.1 billion rand was spent on aircraft leases. Incredible amounts of money, and you're going to see that as our plane works its way across the runway. More than 7 billion rand was spent on fuel and energy. Of course, it costs a lot of money to put a plane in the air. And how about this for a parking ticket? 2.4 billion rand was spent on navigation, landing and parking. So in a single year, Yuveka and Jeremy, the airline spent 33 billion rand. I mean, that really is a lot of money. Staff costs also are relatively high. 6 billion rand was spent on employee benefits. And in terms of the numbers, just under 5,800 staff at SAA. That translates to about 107 employees per aircraft. Not just the cabin crew, also the people behind the scenes. So cost cutting has been a real problem over the last few years, and perhaps not surprisingly, the last time SAA released financial statements, it made a loss, guys, of more than 5 billion rand.
All right, so let's then, if we can, Michael, get to the route cancellations, if we can. But first of all, right back at you. Okay.
Crash and burn.
Equally bad.
What do we know, to get serious for just a moment?
Yeah.
What do we know? And what I'm more interested in, perhaps, is they're cancelled for the month of February, right? This isn't in perpetuity.
Absolutely not, Jeremy. And we're going to put up some flight codes which have been affected by this decision. And it's important to note that the flights under these codes haven't been cancelled for every single day. It's only certain days during the month of February. And you'll find all those details on the website, flysaa.com. But some of these codes appearing on your screen now. Joburg to Cape Town to Joburg as well. SA 366, 326, and 316. Flights to Durban and from Durban to Joburg have also been affected, and we'll get those codes up in a second. There they go. So SA 575 and SA 527. Again, Jeremy and Yuveka, just stressing, it's not every day during February that these flights have been cancelled. It's select days, and those details on the website, which we're putting up at the moment. And also, a flight to East London has also been affected, Yuveka and Jeremy. I quickly want to reference international flights, because SAA choosing to cancel some of those as well, all in an effort to cut costs. Many of them are regional flights. So, for example, Livingstone in Zambia, Windhoek in Namibia, Kinshasa a little bit further to the north, Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Kenya, Nairobi, and then, of course, an important flight as well, Washington in the USA, and that flight actually goes through Accra in Ghana. So important to note, SAA trying to make its operations as efficient as possible.
Now, if I were taking Yuveka to Washington via Accra in the month of February, as a passenger, it's not happening. As a passenger, where do I stand tonight?
Well, SAA has said, Jeremy, that it's determined to find alternative plans for anyone who has booked on those particular flights. So it'll try and accommodate them on other flights. It might try to accommodate them through its partner airlines, other members of the Star Alliance. So it says it's going to do its best to make life as simple as possible for its customers.
It's okay. I'm happy to go on another airline if that's the case, or an alternative flight.
And I've made this public commitment.
Yes, you have now. Yes, we have proof. We have witnesses. But I must say, you know, and I know that these are flights, and people probably take these ones, Michael and Jeremy, but I don't know when last I heard somebody say to me they'd booked a flight on SAA to travel. I mean, have you heard of anybody like who travels SAA?
This is one of the issues, and we have an aviation correspondent coming a little bit later. It's also a confidence issue, because what happens is you cancel the flights, the free market takes over, people will look for other alternatives. The difficulty, I imagine, for SAA will be to lure people back to say, you know, we cancelled this flight in February, but we're okay in March. That is a huge conundrum.